be thankful. Be thankful, like what Paul says, be thankful under all circumstances. And I didn't understand by then when I first read this text. But then after reading The Hiding Place from Corrie ten Boom, do you know it? So the Hiding Place from Corrie ten Boom and Betsy, they were captured by the Germans because they were hiding Jews, or they were hiding people. And so they had to go to a concentration camp. And also they are stripped naked and to go to the barracks. And they could smuggle in a Bible. And then Betsy says, when they're fleas, thank God they're fleas. And Corrie, are you mad? They're biting us. And because they were fleas, the guards didn't enter. And they could have Bible study every evening. So, even if you don't feel, if you don't know why this happens, it's probably good for something. So, thank God. My name is Peter Boers, Pilgrim Peter. And I was raised in Amsterdam. And because I was asthmatic, my parents thought the coast would be very good for him. So they planned to be on a campsite just near the beach. So when I was 1 year old, every weekend from April or March already, from March till about October, we were on the campsite from Friday before dinner, so Friday dinner till Sunday dinner. And so 2 nights, 3 evening meals, and it was very good time. So there were many children playing there as well, so same age, kind of. And it was a really small village. And there I knew everyone, but at home, we were playing as well because we had a square, so where we could play with all kind of things. So both were good areas. I was brought up in a building which was only for Protestants who went to church. So on my staircase, not everyone went. In the beginning they went to church, but then they changed and then maybe not anymore. So new neighbors. But in the beginning, so they were all like going to church, to different churches like Gereformeerd and Hervormd. And there was some tension because they were a little bit different. But we still have contact with the neighbors. So from 60 years ago, almost. So my ma lives there already for over 60 years. And so there was a warm, cozy area. The neighbors were fine, like neighbors direct opposite. The doors were never locked, only at night. And we knocked and went in and were playing together. So having the doors open and have a lot of playground. And my neighbor boy, he was my best friend. So he was only 2 years older, almost same age as my brother. And also, so after growing up in a national park, on the campsite in a national park, you noticed how beautiful it is to be in nature. And there were quite a lot of playgrounds close by, so we were doing hide and seek in the nature, but also cowboys and Indians, and so all kind of things. And later on, even war games with scale 1 to 32, 35. And we had whole battlefields. I had an army of about 5,000 men. And only when they were colored, at least their face should be colored, otherwise you were not allowed to use them. And I had elite troops, of course, which the nails even were there, and pupils. And one puppet took 8 hours, because there was like biography with him as well. But then when you have 8 hours in one puppet, you don't want them to be killed. So we started to become more pacifistic. And yeah, then you have a steady army because you don't want to fight. But then they need food as well. So we made a whole farm with sheep and cattle, and we designed acres for grain and other things and vegetables. And we did research about how much could you make on 1 acre of land. But also, when they are there, they need to do something. So there must be a theater. There must be there must music. There must be a dancing school or whatever. So it became, we made buildings and a church, of course. We built a church, and so yeah, it started from fighting till more civil life. And then when I grew older, like we were always reading in the Bible after dinner, and so I grew up in a warm Christian family, and till about 12 years old I went to where the kids were going, so Sunday school. And from 12 till about 16 I didn't go to church. We had some lessons, so with the pastor, that we could ask questions, but he could never, no, not never, of course, but it felt like he couldn't answer my questions. And so I thought, what's the point of going there? So yeah, then after a while I didn't go anymore, and my brother, he didn't go either. But then when I turned 16, I thought, I'm going to a Christian school, but I don't know anyone in my class who is Christian. But probably, do they know that I am Christian? Probably not either. So I started to say or pray. Only my best friends, when they were at my house, they knew I was praying, and my family was praying, sure. And they were not praying, they were not Christian, although they were on the Christian school. And then I noticed, oh, there are much more people in the class who are Christian, because I came out to show that I was a Christian. And then a friend from church, he asked, maybe it's nice to join the choir, so a youth choir, and then you're not always in your own church, but every other week we were going to another church in the area. And then there were preachers who were much more interesting than our own preacher. So yeah, I thought, this is interesting. And yeah, so you start being in another church. Like every other week I was in church because we were singing. And yeah, then my life became like, when I started to travel, yeah, there was also not yet really with God traveling, but once I was in Scotland, and with my brother. The war just broke out in Iraq. Kennedy, they attacked Iraq. So we couldn't go to Turkey, what we wanted to do. So we went to Scotland instead. And there I asked a young girl who was traveling on her own, "Are you traveling on your own? Do you dare to travel on your own?" She said, "I'm not traveling on my own. I travel with God." I thought, wow, beautiful. And then I thought, I would love to travel with him as well. But not yet, in a way. So later on I went in the army. In the army I had a Red Cross part, so I didn't have a weapon, so that was good. And just to get out of the army earlier, I started studying another study again. I studied already electrotechnics and energy engineering, and then I started studying politics. And I thought, I can just start and do it for 2 months, and if not, then it doesn't cost anything in a way. So, but I enjoyed it. So, and then they started having environmental studies with politics. I thought, wow, that's interesting. And so I'm the first group in the Netherlands who finished politics with environmental studies. But by then, a lot of work as a volunteer, but not paid. So I started working as an engineer for building the first internet in the Netherlands. So in 2 years' time we started building the internet. And then I thought, but it's using so much electricity, amazing. I thought, do I want to continue with this job? I thought, probably not. So there are good parts, but this part is not that good. So then quit my job and started traveling to Asia, overland and sea. So took a bus to Moscow, studied Russian, and then went to Siberia to talk with people in the national parks, to talk about not only nature education but environmental education, to combine environment and nature. What can I do in daily life and to sustain God's creation? And so I did, but not too many people in the national parks were interested. I was with the director of a national park for 3 days, but his education center just burned down, so he didn't have any money. So he thought, very interesting, good ideas, but didn't work out. And so I continued traveling Mongolia for a month, and China, Korea, Japan. I did volunteer work with Ainu, the original people in Japan before the Chinese entered many years ago. And that was an environmental project. That project was chopping down not endemic trees, and from these trees making an environmental education center. And international group, I think I was the only international. But you had to pay for it as well. So interesting, to do voluntary work I had to pay like 400 guilders. Wow, that's a lot of money. And I took about 5 New Testament Bibles with me in English, on my travel, maybe to give away somewhere. And it's a very beautiful thing. I was on a bus in Hokkaido in the north of Japan, and there were only like 3 people on the bus or so. And so there was a lady, and I started talking with her because she was the only one on the bus. And after a few weeks, we had a project. I came back on a bus, and she was there again. And she invited me to stay at her place. And next day she brought me to the ferry to get back to the main island. And then she said, "How come you have so much peace?" I said, "Yeah, I'm a Christian." And yeah, the New Testament, I gave her the New Testament in English and said, "Yeah, read it and try to find a local church." Every year with Christmas she sent me presents afterwards for 5 years. And after 5 years she said, "I'm baptized." And yeah, after that she didn't send anymore, but so that was very beautiful to hear. But the rest of my travel, yeah, I went to churches almost every Sunday, and sometimes I could even join a Bible group during the week. And so it was really a pilgrimage as well. It was a 16-month pilgrimage. So I had my guitar with me, and even in Iran I've been playing Christian songs on El Khomeini Square, and in Pakistan I sung in a bar Christian songs, and yeah, in many places. And that's when faith comes in. Like, I had a friend from Crossroad International Church. He did in Southeast Asia. He hit the same places, but he felt lonely. And I was connected with other Christians all the time. So it was, one big family in the world, because I see a church, I just knock on the door and ask, "Do you know where I can sleep?" And then many times, they have a place. And that's very special. And then you feel connected with God and your brothers and sisters. Several moments, like as I said before, as I was turned 16, around 16, I thought, who sees that I'm a Christian? And I thought, do I behave like a Christian? I was hitting when I didn't feel like a boy, was not doing the thing I like to do, hit him on the arm, but really hard. And I thought, it's not a really nice Christian way of life. So that's changed. And then this girl in Scotland, and then when I was 23, I went to South Africa as an internship with the Rainmakers, a weather station where they try to seed the clouds so that the rain would drop on the farm fields instead of in Lesotho. And so I was close to Lesotho, Drakensberg. And so there I went to church every Sunday as well. And then, it started growing. Faith started growing. But also on a travel, I was studying political science. I thought, if I do 6 courses instead of 2, I can have half a year free. So I started studying till 12 o'clock at night, waking up at 6. Maybe I will not make any of them. So I quit 2, passed 4, and I went in 3 months overland to sea to Israel. So, but then I felt lonely. I was not traveling with God yet. And then I said, never travel on my own. It's so bad. But afterwards, yeah, I really had a connection as a pilgrim. This was kind of a pilgrimage because it was to the Holy Land, but it didn't feel like that at all. But in a way, all my later travels, yeah, I was really traveling with the four of us: Father, Son, Holy Spirit, and me. And yeah, that feels so amazingly beautiful. Yeah, like on this journey, for example, I wanted to go home overland and not through Russia again. So I had to go through Iran. And I went to the embassy and they said, oh, nice, you want to go through Iran, but yeah, maybe next week it will be there. And so I went out, so I was in Bangkok. I had to go to the Bangkok embassy. Went out, and then a week later I came back. I made a phone call, because outside I couldn't make phone calls. And I said, no, not yet. So went out again a week, came back. No, not yet. And another week, not yet. And after 4 weeks, but in this time I could also do an English children camp, for example, because yeah, what shall I do? I'm just waiting. Otherwise I can't go back. So because I was waiting, I could do other things. And then I had the peace that yeah, it would come. And yeah, with my bed and breakfast, for example. Yeah, my neighbors went to court. They sued the council of Heilo and they lost the lawsuit. And so the council of Heilo had to ask me to close down my bed and breakfast. And I had faith because I was involved in politics. So I knew the mayor and everyone who was involved. And just by then, we had a tourist policy, just went through the tourist policy. So I knew bed and breakfast policy will be there sometime. Took 21 months. So the first year it was like relax, it will come. But then it would be like in spring, then before summer, then September, then October, December. Then the elections would come and all wethouders would go away. So I asked for prayer, so in several churches. So, and yeah, it passed through. So, but also what was so strong, so I got a letter from the local government, you have to stop. A few days later, a lady phoned me and she said, probably you don't know me, but 5 years ago I was in your bed and breakfast. And I want to phone you already for years, but now I got on my heart to phone you now. I cycled to Santiago de Compostela as well, and I'm a reborn Christian now. And wow. Then a few days later, on Sunday, my brother phoned me, said, do you know who is at church, the Verbinding, the Baptist church? No? Said, Paul. Paul? Which Paul? Who was in your bed and breakfast twice? And so he's attending the Baptist church now. And so, and then half a year later, because I'm still connected with email. So I get every week got an update. Normally I don't open them because I'm not too much connected. Only the monthly prayer letter I open. But this in January I opened, and then Paul joined the Baptist church. So, and those kind of small things, how can't you believe? Yesterday I walked from Hoorn to Alkmaar along the dike, West-Friese Omringdijk, and when there's a church open, I start singing. Where there's a tunnel, I sing. And I didn't meet many people, but with one lady I just walked half an hour, and so then we parted. Later I just saw two others with a hat, so I just said, do you walk this trail as well? I said, no, just in the area. And then we walked the same direction. They went this way, I went this, and then I met them again. I thought, that's a coincidence. Probably not. So I said, I tried to go to the church to sing if it's open. He said, no, it's not open. But then I asked the lady, what kind of songs do you like? Yeah, Taizé. So we have been singing while walking several Taizé songs with the three of us. And another thing, I try to have a free overnight for the four of us, my mother, brother, friend and I, tomorrow evening. Didn't work. I tried many things, didn't work. And then I noticed, but a friend will stay here in my house tomorrow. What a luck, it didn't work. So I feel guided, connected most of the time. Like no paid job for 2 years, but then every time it's clear that I did things what I couldn't do when I would have a job. So it's perfect timing. I think, how come? Like I had 4 jobs, I quit one, and the other ones are quitted by them. Okay, then he knows. And then in January I had, like my housemate's sister died, so we had to clean the house, and that was months work in Germany. So it's still not sold, still busy with it. The house has to be demolished. But so it's good that I don't have a job. I'm very involved in 2 churches. And a little bit with other churches. So Limmen a little bit, but here in the Coolste Kerk, PKN and Christchurch. So it's good. And luckily my bed and breakfast is open again, so got some money as well. It's good many times to think when there's a kind of problematic situation or a joyful situation, or what would Jesus do? What would he do in this situation? Like if a beggar asks for money, what would Jesus do? Would he give him money in this situation because he knows this person very well? What will he do with the money? Or do you give him bread? Or do you buy something for him, go to the shop and buy him some bread? And so in many situations you can ask, what would Jesus do? And for every person it could be a different outcome, because we are different. But try to see through the eyes of Jesus. And yeah, then life will be different. Like, for me, God, Jesus, is the creator. So how would we deal with his creation? Are we good housekeepers?